What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 129, and it is a late night here at Bigs HQ as we are going to finish up the Week 6 review. With me, as always, my roommate and best friend, Ben Nisman. Benny, how you feeling tonight, my friend?
Feeling happy and excited, even though we're just watching the clock turn over to another day and do another show. Just an hour later, basically. It's 1 a.m. here on the East Coast. So I hope everyone's ready for some laughs, memories, and some really bad math.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just looking forward to breaking down some of these matchups because they actually are truly interesting and how they all shaped out. So, Joe, as always, please lead us off, my man.
Let's get going, boys. We got four more matchups to go over here, and then we will sign off for the evening. So let's kick it off, Benjamin, with your matchup against Kostas Paragios this week. You guys went to an 11-10 final. How are you feeling after this matchup, my friend?
I'm not feeling too badly, actually. It's one that on the schedule, I'm thinking, that's one that I'm probably supposed to get. But come on, 5-0 against Kostas going into this year. And we'll have to do this again, but that was a monkey he had to get off of his back. No matter what, in some way or another, he needed to get that done. And we'll get into a lot more about this matchup, but my God, if the story of the end of it is not that I finally took a loss, it's that Costas beat Ben. And it felt like for him, that was something that was impossible to do. And we talk about how when you know you're going into a matchup with somebody specific and they got your number, that's already in your mindset. He had to flip the script somehow, and he did.
Well, an unbelievable win for him. I'm sure he's thrilled. On Sunday, it looks like he led by 4 2/3 of 4 2/3 innings, and you took that category away from him, but nothing else changed. Therefore, Ben, it finishes 11-10. Costas wins by the 2 wins. You win by the strikeout, 3 1/3 innings, and a strikeout by a pitcher. You guys did not tie in anything. For Costas on his bench this week, here you go, 14 for 53.
Yeah. Thanks. Sure. Man, it's not like it's easy to simplify 53. I'm pretty sure that's a prime number. Uh, you say 12 for 14 for 53?
14 for 53.
It's 322?
264.
Yeah, forget it.
With 6 runs, 7 doubles, 2 homers, 10 RBIs, 6 walks, 15 strikeouts, and none of it plays.
No way. Wow.
None
Interesting.
of it plays. Yeah, man. His moves this week, I used 5 of them. Andrew Heaney for a good start in Oakland, dropping Lucas Sims. He added Caleb Thielbar after the bell, so he missed out on a save for Joe Adell. Dropped Heaney and Thielbar, and then added Heimer Candelario. Added Luis Rengifo off of waivers, and dropped Ke'Bryan Hayes for Dylan Lee. His MVP this week is going to be Christian Yelich. 636 with a 667 on base percentage, 4 runs, a triple, 2 RBIs, a steal, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Julio Rodriguez, 167 with a 259, 2 runs, 2 steals, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. The Cy Young goes to James Paxton, nothing earned over 6 innings with a win, 4 strikeouts, and an 0.67 whip. And the Cy Young goes to, I guess, Tyler Anderson with a 485. It was a pretty good pitching week for Kostas, all things considered. A 3.03 ERA, a 1.14 whip, 6 wins, and not too many guys giving up too many runs on the pitching side for him. How did you see him, his performance here?
Yeah, it really, to me, it all gets highlighted on Friday. So I had a good lead in all offensive categories, and then I go 4 for 34 for a 118 batting average and a 167. And then my opponent decided to go 10 for 31, a 323 with a 417, 4 runs, a double, a triple, a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 steals, 5 walks, 6 strikeouts, and an error. It was just it was just hard to keep up with. And there were some stats going into Sunday that were still gettable for me, and it was walk and batting average. I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's something to go for. And right out of the gate, I'm hot. I think I'm batting 4 for 9. Anyway, this guy only gets six guys in the lineup, and he gets 7 walks out of that. And a 412 average and a 583 on base on Sunday. Like by Sunday, it's like, all right, I guess those things aren't going to happen. Um, I want to get more into it, and I know we have a lot more to do, so we'll
Mhm.
close it out, and I'll put a bow on it. But yeah, this was just a team that had a mission, and by the weekend in the weekend series, it just found a way to coast.
Yeah. Yep. Benji, for you on your bench this week, you went 11 for 28.
Great. 342. I don't know.
393.
Oof.
5 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 7 RBIs, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. And guess what?
I don't know if
None of
it
it
plays.
plays. None of it plays, man. None of it
No.
plays.
Well, I mean, if you want to say there were ways to get enough hits to get there, but I would have had to flip it by 21 points in order to catch him
Yeah,
in batting average. So
that's asking a lot when you also have like something in the neighborhood of 30 more at bats than him.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Your moves this week, only 4 of them. You added Shane Baz to your IL and Phil Maton for a clean relief appearance and dropped Reese McGuire. You dropped Maton, Simber, and Baz for Alex Wood, who was okay. I guess he took the loss in Seattle,
No, he was bad.
and he was bad. And Jason Dominguez, who we already know, got you Clayton Kershaw in the deal with Henry. Who's your most valuable hitter this week, sir?
I mean, not for nothing. The answer isn't this guy, but Carlos Santana had a hell of a week. Just,
Mhm.
I mean, you got to give him a ton of credit just because he started off really slow, and this is the second time in a number of weeks where he has home runs in 3 straight games.
Mm-hmm.
So he's pretty locked in, and it's just exciting to see.
Yeah, 3 homers, 8 RBIs. But are we giving it to Charlie Blackmon?
I think so. I think there was more production there from than any other player.
Yeah, 462 with a 533, 4 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 6 RBIs, 2 walks, and only 1 strikeout.
Mhm.
The least
Yeah, and
valuable
he.
hitter,
By
Benji?
the way, I will also say that on Sunday I benched him, and he went 1 for 3 with a walk. So it was just like another thing that he could have thrown in there. So
Yeah, it actually would have brought his batting average down because it was a one for three. But that's just that's
right,
just funny. Who's
well,
the least valuable hitter this week?
it's got to be Will Smith, right?
Yeah, no hits and a 200 on base with 3 walks, 3 runs, and 6 strikeouts.
It's horrible.
No, no good, no good. Who's
Yeah,
the Cy Young?
like I guess it would be Flaherty.
Yeah, Flaherty was good. 12 and 2/3, though, 2 losses, 13 strikeouts, 2 bombs, a walk, a 3.55, and a 1.11. Taiwan Walker also had a nice start for you. Ryan Yarborough had a decent 2 relief appearances for you. Uh, and Kyle Gibson was pretty good in his 11 innings. Those 6 walks is a little hideous.
Yeah, it's a little bit, but the fact that he's able to keep that ERA down, which was clearly, I mean, you kind of said his name and Patrick Corbin in the same sentence. As far
Mhm.
as, yeah, you could like get some innings out of this guy, but they're not going to be pretty. In general, this guy has now had 5 good starts in a row. And if that's my number 5 starter or even my number 4, I feel comfortable having him help me get to the 42.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty solid guy to just sort of anchor the back end of your rotation, get you the innings you need to get to the 42, and not destroy your ratios every
Yeah.
single time out. Who's the Cy Yuck? Is it Miles Michaelis?
Yeah, you could go with him or Estevez. Or even MacArthur. MacArthur picked it up a little bit. He had a horrible inning against Milwaukee, just like an atrocious one that we saw early in the week where he blew a save and he gave up like 3.
Mhm.
And yeah. But aside from that, yeah, I would say Estevez, Mikolas, those are the 2 culprits.
Yeah. Michaelis, an 8.10 ERA across 10 innings, and now is no longer on the team. Was it difficult to say goodbye to Miles Michaelis after that?
Yeah, it was. I mean, think about it. This guy had it wasn't just last year. I traded for him in 2022 around probably this time for Gene Segura. I traded to Frank to get
Mhm.
Michaelis. And this guy was a big part of getting me to the semifinals in 2022. He didn't have a good season last year, but he ate a lot, and he pitched well enough to win me a championship last year as well. So great question by you. Yes, there was some, in some ways, trepidation, but I've seen enough now, and I just feel like for me and a lot of people, it's a hot potato, and I don't necessarily think filling my roster spot long term when I know I got to wait 4 or 5 days to get whatever he's going to produce is worth it. At a certain point, I need to grab something that's going to help me for today, tomorrow, the next day.
Yeah. And, he's pitching to an ERA north of 6 so far. The St. Louis Cardinals aren't looking like they're turning it around this year. They may have back-to-back losing seasons for the first time since the 50s, I think I saw that stat.
Yeah, no
So,
question.
gonna be a rough season for Miles going forward, but he's not gonna be on Ben's fantasy team anymore.
No, probably not.
All right, let's jump to the next matchup here,
Well, I was
Benjamin.
thought we were gonna. I
Oh,
would
what do you
love to
got?
put a bow. Yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah, go
sorry
ahead.
because this is pretty important.
Yeah.
I want to applaud this man and give him a ton of credit here because something that just can't get overlooked is what happened on Sunday. You'll see that he benched out, but what you won't see is the time that he did it and when he did it, Joe. So this is really, really big. When he started to see that he had nothing to gain from what was going on with these hitters, he started to back out. And if you look at the things we mentioned, the close stats, I won strikeouts and strikeouts by one. All right. I made a one pickup on Sunday, right? Alex Wood for the starting pitching. He gave me the inning. He got me a strikeout. He only got me one because he pitched like shit and needed to come out of the game after like one inning. But he got me that one strikeout. And then I'm seeing that, holy crap, he doesn't have any guys out. The last one he pulled out was Olson for the night game. And I'm like, oh my God, like he did it. He did exactly what he was supposed to do, and he did it in the time. And here I am still looking at Will Smith and Muncy with at bats, and strikeouts is at one. And I'm like, oh my God, here it comes. He did it. And
Mhm.
neither one of them strike out. So I'm able to win that stat as well as pulling out strikeouts by one. I mean, he goes and he gets that reliever on the Braves, Dylan Lee, and the dude almost pitches well enough to tie strikeouts at the end. Like Kostas did everything he could. He had me basically handcuffed towards
Mhm.
the end of this matchup where I couldn't really counter, and I was to the mercy of whatever these players were going to do. So I thought it was important to just say that not only was this like a tight, great matchup, but it was really amazing to see the growth of a manager to watch what's going on in the moment and know the right time to bench out your players and pull the trigger, as they so to speak, on doing something like that. It's so critical, and I, yeah, you kind of know it's coming. But at the same time, when I see it as a commissioner, even as a manager, I'm impressed. I'm just like, oh, okay, you're gonna do that. All right, you got me, man.
Yeah, well done, Costas. It was an incredibly well managed week,
Yeah,
and you got the monkey off your back. You finally beat the Benjamin, and
right.
that's what's most exciting here.
Exactly. And I'm still in first place after it all. I managed to get to 10 categories, and at a certain point I was like, I know I'm
Mhm.
not going to get killed, even though his team just went bananas offensively and started cruising. So good on him. And yeah, I'm hoping that this team isn't starting to like hit like that skid as far as offense for me, because
Mm.
I am definitely nervous about what's going on as far as going forward.
Well, we'll see how that progresses. I certainly hope that it doesn't for you, and you
And
stay up
by the way,
top there.
strikeouts, strikeouts and strikeouts by one. Like, no, I don't think that, I know that's never happened to me, Joe,
Mm-hmm.
but like that's huge. Winning 10 categories and those two I get by one. So every start with Mikolas, even though it was terrible, and knowing that with the Mets, like either way, I'm a winner if they kick his ass, and they did. But he's one, and then Estevez is one pitch away from getting out of it, and then freaking MacArthur is one pitch away from getting out of it, and then the wheels fell off, man. But like at the end, when I see myself winning strikeouts and strikeouts by one, 10 stats, dude, I'm happy that I got out of there that way.
That is a pretty exciting way to get a loss and still feel pretty strongly about it because you played really well. Played
Thank
really
you.
well.
Thanks so much. And by the way, how about Max Kepler and what he did for me this week? Like
Dude,
you can argue that he was the player and not Charlie Blackmon or Carlos Santana. 368 with a 400 on base, 5 runs, 5 doubles, a homer, 5 RBIs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. And he's another guy that I benched one day and he went 2 for 5.
5 doubles is just insane. He just showed up with his bat, much like Kevin Newman did in 2019, and it was please don't take me out of the lineup. I'm gonna keep doing good things, and he keeps
14, yeah,
hitting.
14 game hitting streak. That includes a day where he had to be pinch hit for 1 for 1. You know, it was
Mm-hmm.
just so locked in right now. Anyway,
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, let's move over to the next matchup here. We're going to take Bobby Russo and Henry Collins. Henry getting an 11-7 victory here. Just 1 second as I share the screen.
take your time.
There we go. So this matchup going in was 11-5. It comes out 11-7. On Sunday, Henry had a 1 homer advantage, and Bobby took that. Stolen bases were tied, and Bobby took that. Henry had 6 ticks on the on base percentage, and Bobby took that. Losses were tied, and Henry took that. Home runs given up were tied, and Henry took that one.
Wow.
Bobby had a 20 tick ERA lead, and Henry took that one. And Henry had 4 relief appearance lead, and Bobby tied that. All of that happened on Sunday. 3 to Bobby's side, 3 to Henry's side, and the tie in the relief appearances. We finish 11-7. Close categories: Bobby wins by the homer, the steal, and 8 ticks on the whip. Henry wins by 3 runs, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, 2 errors, and they tied in triples, saves, and relief appearances. For Henry on his bench, Benjamin, he goes 15 for 55.
Oh, so freaking close. Oh man, I can't. 5 for 11. 485, 488. I don't know.
It's 3 for 11, not 5 for 11.
Oh,
273 batting average, 8 runs, 4 doubles, 4 homers, 14 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 5 walks, and 7 strikeouts. The 2 stolen bases would have mattered. The 4 homers definitely matter. A lot of it was a Rosarena on the bench. And, it shows because he ended up trading that guy at the end of the week as well. But this was a guy that probably needed to be in the lineup this week. He started to turn it around this week. And you know what? He got value for him. Only one move this week. He added Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, dropping Joe Boyle. His MVP this week, I'm giving it to Elias Diaz. I want to give this guy his flowers this year because you know what? He's arguably one of the best pieces in the Colorado Rockies lineup. And he's just solidified Henry's lineup by just sticking there at catcher and staying there all day and being the Colorado guy who's going to probably hit 300 this year, it looks like. 320 with a 346 on base, 3 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 6 RBIs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter was Andres Jimenez. 091 with a 167, a run, a double, a steal, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Cy Young goes to Zach Gallen, 12 innings, 2 wins, a homer, 5 walks, 10 strikeouts, a 150 and an 083. And the Cy Young goes to Andrew Chafin, who was not good in his relief appearances. He caught the loss, had a walk, a 27 and a 4 in 2 relief appearances. Not great. For Bobby this week, he goes 1 for 6.
By the way, 3 for 11. It's a lot easier if I had a pen and paper just to like remind myself. Just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, 188.
167. With a double, an RBI, and a strikeout. None of it plays. He used all 10 moves this week. He dropped Carlos Carrasco and Keegan Aiken, then added Angel Zerpa for a terrible relief appearance. Added David Fry 1 for 4 with a solo home run because he lost Wilson Contreras to injury. He added Emilio Pagan, dropped Michael Grove, David Fry, Zach Geloff, and Joey Loperfido. Added Michael Soroka, 5 1/3, a loss, 2 homers, a walk, 4 strikeouts, a 6.75 and an 0.94 against Cleveland. Bo Naylor for an 0 for 3, and Mike Clevenger 4 2/3, a bomb, 5 strikeouts, a 193 and an 0.86 against Cleveland. He added 2 Chicago White Sox starters and got away with it. Finally, on Sunday, he dropped Clevenger, Naylor, and Orlando Arcia for Bailey Falter, 6 innings and a 3 with a 117 against Chicago. Ahmed Rosario 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Gary Sanchez 2 for 4 with an RBI, a strikeout, and an error. And Dylan Moore 1 for 3 with a run, an RBI, and a stolen base. Again, used all 10. His MVP this week is going to be Kyle Tucker. 235 with a 435 on base percentage, 5 runs, 4 bombs, 5 RBIs, a stolen base, 6 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Least valuable hitter this week is Alex Bregman. 200 with a 200, 2 runs, a double, 2 RBIs, and 4 strikeouts. But he had himself a Monday, didn't he?
No doubt. Incredible.
Yeah. Talk about that next week. The Cy Young for Bobby this week is Michael King. 7 innings, 3 walks, 11 strikeouts, nothing earned, and an 0.71 whip. And the Cy Young I'm giving to Andrew Kittredge, but it could also go to Joel Payamps. It could go to Gregory Soto. It could go to Michael Soroka if we really wanted it to. But Kittredge, 2 1/3 across 3 relief appearances, 2 losses, 2 bombs, a 15.43 and a 1.71. Not great. What'd you see here, Benji?
I see a real developing manager in Bobby Russo. I mean, the way he's climbing back in matchups, you notice there have been times now, a number of at least 2 or 3, where he was down in the matchup and finds a way to either win it or make it acceptable, you know, an 11-9 loss or an 11-7 loss. And the fact that he's using all 10 ads now fairly consistently, where he wouldn't come close to touching 12 or minimum in other years. So the maximum rather. But I'm just really, that I realize it's a loss, but this is not bad at all. And another thing is that he's 4-1-1 in strikeouts in so far in the 6 weeks as far as a batter goes. And I'm 5-1. So that's a matchup now that I'm kind of interested that he's got players similar to me and he knows how to work on that stat. So dangerous manager right now. Bobby is extremely hot. And I made sure that I let Henry know that I'm incredibly proud of him, that even though, yes, it did get smaller, even though I felt like Henry could have gone after relief appearances and been more aggressive when you see that ends up being tied. It only takes a little bit more work throughout the week, and maybe you pull that one out, especially because Bobby is delegating his ads in a certain way already. So that's one that I think he misses. But the fact that he had a hold on this matchup the entire week and never gave up the lead and knew how to just at least cement another win and keep the winning streak going, I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, great win for Henry. Way to get himself right back up the standings here. Going to be a manager that we're going to keep an eye on after he crashed the party last year and made the playoffs. he's going to be fighting for the same kind of performance this year, Benji. And this is one of those weeks you just grind this one out and get the W in order to really build your resume and build your case for why you should be a playoff team.
Right. And these are two teams you could see in a scenario where they're playing in week 21 and one or both of them are going either for a playoff spot or a bye or something. It's really impressive, and you could just kind of foresee both of these teams having a really fun summer of fantasy baseball where they are going to be playing for something meaningful and trying to get into the playoffs.
No doubt. No doubt. Let's move on to that next matchup here, and we're going to breeze through this one. It is Ari Nisman versus Michael Sherman. How you feeling about this one, Benji?
Oh my God, this is like when you watch a tennis match and it's not the first singles in high school, it's not the second, or it's like the third or fourth singles players, and you know that they're just not that good at tennis, and it's just a lot of mistakes and unforced errors and a lot of double faults. No one could get a serve in. It was a mess. It was painful to watch, and it's got to happen again in week 21. But all I can say about it that's good is that when these two guys are playing each other, you know that the stats that are affected aren't going to mean anything. It's not like I feel either of these teams are going to cement themselves in a playoff spot. So they'll just like play it out and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, it was 11-7 Mike Sherman going in. It ends 10-7 in favor of Mike Sherman, as on Sunday, Mike had a 4 RBI lead and Ari tied that. Mike had a very minuscule on base percentage lead and Ari took that. Ari had a 2 2 2/3 lead on the innings, and Mike took that. Wins were tied. Mike took that. And ERA, Mike had a half a run advantage, and Ari took that. So, like I said, 11-7 going in, 10-7 coming out. Close categories. Yeah, close categories. Ari wins by 2 errors, 8 ticks on the on base percentage, and 25 ticks on the ERA. Sherman wins by a win and 2 home runs given up by a pitcher. They tied in triples, RBIs, losses, and saves. For Sherman on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 15 for 59.
God. So is it like 257?
It's 254.
Oh.
With a run, a double, a homer, 3 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, 14 strikeouts, and 2 errors. The only thing that matter are the 3 RBIs as they tied in that category. Missed a couple of things there. Only 2 moves out of Mr. Sherman this week. We get Danny Jansen on the team for a 1-for-5 with a run and a double, dropping Shea Langoliers. And he drops Pete Crow Armstrong for Mason Black, 4 1/3, a homer, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 208, and a 138 against Cincinnati. For his MVP this week, we're going to call it Willie Adames, 259 with a 310, 6 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 5 RBIs, 2 steals, 2 walks, and 6 big strikeouts.
Yeah. Thanks for that home run off of James MacArthur to put your team in the lead. That was brutal. Yeah, this guy, you're right. This guy actually, and what's funny when we talk about him is that we thought Tovar was going to end up being the starting shortstop after the trade that I made with him. But it turns out that Adames has pretty much cemented himself as the guy. He's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, agreed. He's been pretty solid for Mike Sherman this year. The least valuable hitter is Cedric Mullins, 077 with an 077 on base, an RBI, and 6 strikeouts. Not the best season from him, however, coming thus far. 185, 6 homers, 6 steals. The Cy Young this week for Mr. Sherman is Max Fried, who just absolutely dropped it on us this week. Wherever he is. There he is. 7 innings, a win, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 043. And the Cy Yuck is Zach Wheeler, surprisingly enough. 4 innings, a bomb, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 13.50, and a 2.25. For Ari on his bench this week, Benjamin, are you ready?
Wow. When you say that like that, it sounds like this is an endeavor.
It's 24 for 88.
My God. That's a lot of math right now, man.
Mm-hmm.
Uh 284.
273. That was pretty respectable, just throwing a
Thank
number
you.
out there.
Thanks.
9 runs, 3 doubles, 4 homers, 8 RBIs, 4 walks, 19 strikeouts, and an error. Obviously, again, the 8 RBIs play as they tied in that category. Only one move this week. He dropped Tyler Alexander, and that's it. His MVP this week is going to be Cal Raleigh. 250 with a 400, 5 runs, a double, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, 4 walks, and 9 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter, Paul Goldschmidt, has been awful. 136 with a 174, 2 runs, a homer, 2 RBIs, a walk, and 9 strikeouts. He is hitting 199 on the season with 3 bombs, 14 RBIs. He is looking like he might be washed, Benjamin.
It's very possible, but I'm not ready to say that. You got to see a little bit more, but I get it. It's a bad stretch.
Yeah, very, very bad 6 weeks here so far from that guy. The Cy Young this week is Joe Ryan. Wherever he is. There he is. 7 innings, a win, a bomb, 7 strikeouts, a 129, and an 086. And the Cy Young goes to Sonny Gray. 5 innings, a loss, 3 bombs, a walk, 6 strikeouts, a 1080, and a 160. Benjamin, what's going on
Yeah.
here?
No, we got a couple of really bad teams right now. First of all, Mike Sherman is dead last in batting average in our league, batting 231, and second to last in on base percentage at a 299. So right there, all I'm seeing is like, yeah, he might have won this matchup, but my God, like either one of these guys could have won better. Like Mike Sherman benches Zach Wheeler on Monday and had no intent. Like, he didn't realize that because it was a pretty early game on a Monday, and he just didn't switch it out. He had his hitter set up, but he didn't have the pitcher set up, and the guy could have won him ERA. Like when all was said and done with his unbelievable performance on Monday, but it's just. I think that's something that we're just going to have to get used to. Meanwhile, Ari, second to last in ERA and WHIP in our league. A 4.29 ERA and a 1.33 WHIP. That's good for second to last in our entire league. So both guys pretty disappointing right now. Neither one of these guys hitting hard. Ari is third to last on base percentage at 306. I mean, it's messy. So things are going to change. Things are going to fluctuate a little bit, but I know that both of these managers are capable of doing better, but they're also aware that they're not on the same league as the other managers in this league right now.
It's a shame because there's a championship in here. There's final appearances from these
Sure.
guys.
They
There are
played each other
legendary
in the
appearances.
finals. Joe,
Yeah.
they played each other in the finals in 2016. There were
Mm-hmm.
plenty of great managers in 2016, like you and Jay and Jason and Mike Haber, and all those teams were basically in the playoffs in that year. Uncle Barry in the playoffs that year. 21 ads the first time that we're doing ads, a limit. 21 in 2016. When you think about the amount of moves that Ari and Mike Sherman make, and in 2016 we had 21 ads. The first year we made moves the day of versus having to do it the day prior. All these things in 2016 when these guys end up playing each other in a final, and now here we are. It's sad to see. I still like those memories, and 2016 is a really amazing year. But when you think of where we were and where we've come, it's actually it's in a way disappointing.
It's a long time ago, man. It's already 8 years ago that that season happened. So I certainly hope we get to see the return of these guys to their form, but I'm not foreseeing it this year. This is going to be a
Right.
rough year for these guys.
Yeah. And the fact that Ari had that streak going of even year playoffs 2012, 2014, 2016, 2018, 2020, even 2022 with this ridiculous put 5 to 6 men on my bench and try to play the numbers. He even pulled it off to get into the playoffs in 2022 for
Mm-hmm.
six every other years for 6, right? He was in the playoffs. Mike Sherman in the playoffs in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So it's these guys. They don't have like long droughts of getting in the playoffs. Like we're not. We are far removed from 2016, but we're not far away from when these guys were good and competitive. So I don't know when it'll turn around, but definitely strategy would need to be something that is addressed and altered in some way for them to have a successful season.
Agreed. Agreed. All right, let's move to the final matchup here, and there is some concern in Eastern Washington, as Bryan Lebo, come get yourself an easy win. Now he's just here to take L's. Takes another L from Josh Haber,
These are his team names.
11-9. That is correct. These are his team names.
Talk about being able to find a way to write every character in there to have a sentence. Incredible in that way.
Right? Right? He does take the 11-9 loss this week, unfortunately, and he was winning most of the week before this thing came down. On Sunday, it was 10-9 Bryan going in. Bryan takes an error to tie that category, and he takes a loss to untie that category in Josh's favor. There's 11-9. Close categories, Lebo wins by 2 home runs and 2 stolen bases. Josh wins by the triple, 3 RBIs, a loss, and a home run given up by a pitcher, and they tied in errors. For Josh on his bench this week, Benjamin, it is a 4 for 13.
Oh, at least it's a little bit easier. 323?
308. 4 runs, a double, a homer, 3 RBIs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, and 2 errors. None of it plays except for those errors. Good job getting those out of your lineup. His moves this week, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 of them. He had Steven Okert for Joe Mantiply, Bryce Elder off of waivers for Stephen Kolek, Colin Poche for Steven Okert, Joe Mantiply for Luis Ortiz, Bryce Willison for Colin Poche, Ryan O'Hearn, 1 for 2 with an RBI and 2 walks for Kyle Manzardo. Robert Gasser, 6 innings, a win, 4 strikeouts, an 0.33 whip against St. Louis for Spencer Turnbull. Added Kerry Carpenter for Joe Mantiply and Justin Slayton for Bryce Wilson. Again, that's 9 of the 10. His MVP this week, I'm giving to Willie Castro of all random people. 250 with a 308, but 3 runs, a double, a triple, a homer, 2 RBIs, a steal, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. He filled up the entire stat sheet this week. His least valuable hitter goes to Adolis Garcia, 107 with a 161 on base, a run, a double, 4 RBIs, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts, and an error. That is not good. The Cy Young is Yu Darvish. 5 innings, a win, a walk, 5 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 0.80. And the Cy Young will go to Logan Gilbert. 4 innings, a loss, a bomb, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, an 18, and a 275. For the good doctor on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 6 for 28.
Okay. 218.
214. Strong work.
Thanks.
Strong work.
Thank
2
you.
runs, a double, a homer, 6 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, and 8 strikeouts. The 6 RBIs certainly would have played as he lost that by 3, but otherwise none of it plays. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, all 10 for Bryan this week as he added Gabe Spire for Giovanni Gallegos. Michael Massey goes 1 for 3 with a solo homer, dropping Vidal Brujan. He added Ben Rortvet and Tim Meza for a bad relief appearance for Sixto Sanchez. Michael Kelly had a bad relief appearance for Ben Rortvet. Leody Taveras for Tim Meza. Cal Quantrill, 6 innings, a win, a bomb, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 150 and a 133 at home against San Francisco. That is Cal Quantrill of the Rockies at home, and he streamed him and got away with it. Dropped Michael Kelly. He added Whit Merrifield for an 0 for 3. Dropped Michael Massey for Alejandro Kirk for an 0 for 3. And dropped Gabe Spire for Alek Manoah. 7 innings, a homer, a walk, 6 strikeouts, and 0-7-1 against Minnesota, but takes that final loss that loses him the category, unfortunately. His MVP this week, how about Jazz Chisholm? 348 with a 400, 3 runs, 3 doubles, a triple, a homer, 2 RBIs, a steal, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Starling Marte, who hit 118 this week. The Cy Young goes to Alek Manoah, who had a really nice start, but unfortunately did take the loss, however, didn't give up an earned run and an 0-71 whip. The Cy Yuck goes to Lance Lynn, 4 2/3, a loss, a 7-7-1, and a 150. Benjamin, are you concerned for the good doctor here that after 6 weeks without a win?
Yes, I would say that's fair. I am concerned. I'm not assuming that's it. Season's over. It's way too much season for me to say that. But right now, I'm just seeing some glaring issues that probably in some way, I don't know how you address it, but right off the bat, little did you know going into the matchup that these guys were very, very different as far as their matchups against opponents in ERA. Now, after this week, Josh, 5-1 in ERA against opponents, 6-0 in WHIP against opponents. Whereas for Bryan, 1-5 in the first 6 weeks in ERA and 1-5 in WHIP as well. And unfortunately, I hate saying it, man, but dead last in our league in on base percentage with a 297 for Bryan. It's 6 weeks, but it's not like he's third or fourth to last. He's dead last with a 297 on base percentage. He's not getting on base enough. Whether it's against his opponents or not, he's just not getting on base enough. He's dead last in our league in walks, 114. 15th place is Mike Sherman with 123. And Mike Sherman is not even necessarily playing all 9 guys in the lineup a lot of the times. So just little things that you see like that. Maybe he just needs to find a way to get on base more.
Yeah, that might be the solution to the problem. Maybe it's through a trade. Maybe it's finding guys who are better at getting walks and getting on base through free agency than the guys currently in his roster. I could see a trade coming because Bryan is the type of guy who will get into the trade market and try to shake things up if the team isn't doing well.
Sure, and it's still early enough where things can still spark. He just needs to find a way to get on the winning, just to get a W. And then how about Josh? Just so impressive. Just one of those managers that now when you see him coming, it's not the same anymore. It's just like, I gotta play Josh in 2 or 3 more weeks. How am I going to prepare for it?
Right. Josh has become a really tough manager to see on the schedule where years past you would just sort of, okay, I can
glaze over it.
I can win this week. I just have to play my game. Now it's as tough a matchup as you can ask for in this league. And he is certainly playing hard and sitting in 4th place right now, 4.5 back. 16 games over 500 for Josh Haber. Really, really nice season so far.
Just a couple of other numbers just to acknowledge what he's doing on the pitching side. 5-1 against opponents in saves, 5-1 against opponents in home runs given up, 6-0 in walks given up for pitchers, 5-1 in ERA and 6-0. I mentioned 4-1 with 1 tie-in relief appearances. Those are on the good side. So Josh is he's really blowing it away against his opponents, and he just keeps doing stuff like that. Another guy that you could feel confident, fun summer, just like a good summer, of quality, competitive, have a chance to get into the dance. And that's amazing. It's just amazing watching Josh and the progression of him and what he has become. And it's not to take anything away from Bryan Lebo, who continues to improve. It's just like the results haven't been there, or he's running into a manager where he's hot, but his opponent is just a little bit hotter. And that's the difference of winning a category here and there, where you would have won that category against some of the other managers that week. You just ran into a tough opponent. So that's why I am concerned, Joe, because like he could turn around these walk numbers and the on base and getting better against certain guys at some of the pitching categories, but it still doesn't matter. Like if your opponent is just hot on one side of the ball, like at this point, he needs to play like 700 ball right now for a good amount of time to get himself back into this.
No doubt. It's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of winning. But he has to dig out of this thing. Otherwise, it's going to be a long, arduous summer again for the good doctor. Benji, I think that's going to put a bow on this show, man. We did managers of the week on the other show. So if you haven't tuned into the one before this, go ahead and go and listen to that. Thanks for being here, my friend.
Thank you so much. Just a lot of craziness. Everyone that played this week did such an awesome job and compete. You saw guys maxing out their ads. You saw guys waking up or staying up till 3 a.m. to do what they had to do. But this was a really, really, really fun week to watch. Just all the brilliance from each one of the guys that showed it in a different way. And still a lot more season to go. The fact that we haven't even gotten through a third of this, man, it's that exciting right now for me. And another thing that I need to bring up is, if anyone didn't watch the episode prior, we discussed the trades that went down right in the beginning of the show, and it's pretty important to check all that out, because a lot of weird stuff happened. I wasn't able to make a 2-for-2 trade. Henry and I, we we actually even made every different combination to see if that Yahoo wouldn't make us drop players onto IL for Kershaw, take him off the IL. Henry only had 25 guys on his roster, so even when we did it 2-for-1, they made him drop a player, and he even has a roster spot open. It was just crazy how it was. It was very, very strange, but we tried everything that we could, and yeah, we just have a lot of interesting stuff going on with all the trades that went down yesterday, just right in the reactions that happened because of week 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something about week 6 of 2024 we might remember, is just like the reaction of that week. And then all of a sudden there were trades that day, like a 3-team deal that one party didn't even realize that it was a 3-team deal. Crazy stuff like that, and a lot of fun. So as a commissioner, I'm so excited, Joe. So thank you so much. I know it's a late night, it's almost 2 a.m., but talking fantasy baseball, talking about the league, talking about the bigs, like going through it, it's special, and it could get overlooked, and you take it for granted sometimes, because it is that special and what it's become. So thank you again for giving us this platform, and it's always fun and exciting. So thanks again, man.
And thank you guys all for being a part of this league and making it what it is. We would have nothing to talk about if it wasn't for you guys making this league what it is. So keep up the fight, keep up the competitive juices flowing, and let's see some amazing, amazing management over the next few weeks. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, guys, it's been real, it's been fun, and it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.